So once again I am here with a new video, and in this we are going to discuss about the food crops what we grow in India, right? And as you all know, in the earlier video we had discussed about the various crop seasons or the agricultural seasons what we have in India: Kharif, Rabi and Zaid. And now we have to continue with the same topic, agriculture, and under that the food crops we are going to start today. And as always, I must remind you before we proceed, please share the link with your friends and your classmates, and along with that don't forget to subscribe the channel. And as you subscribe it, you should press the bell icon so that you will get all the notifications regarding the any uploading of the video in the channel. So let's start with it now. First of all, there are two type of crops. On a large scale we divide the entire crops into two categories. One is called the food crops, the other is called cash crops. Okay, now the first one we have to discuss here, the food crops. Okay, now under the food crops in India, rice and wheat, these are the major crops being grown in a major part of, you will find a larger part of India is covered by rice cultivation or wheat cultivation, right? So rice and wheat, as you all know, that these are the cereal crops. Now these are actually occupying a major part of our normal meals, right? The reason being these are easy to grow. Number two is they are actually keeping the nutritional value of these cereal crops. These are actually covering a major part of the normal meals of the people in India. So let's start with the first one, that is rice. Actually in the field it is called as paddy. Now for paddy cultivation, basically you should keep in mind that paddy is, or a rice is, a kharif crop, as we have discussed earlier about it. So keeping that in mind, kharif crop requires what temperature conditions and what amount of rainfall it needs. Most of the kharif crops need heavy rainfall. Okay, so rice being one of them, it also needs heavy rainfall. Almost it covers an area where rainfall is received above 150 centimeters to 300 centimeters. Right, this is the normal rainfall condition it needs, and moreover it grows very well in a temperature condition almost on an average 24 to 26 degrees centigrade. Okay, between the range of 22 to 32, 35, you can say that is the range of temperature within which it grows well. So keeping this in mind, and along with this is the climatic condition required for rice. Okay, but when we talk about the soil, what is required for rice cultivation, it is grown best in the alluvial soil, right? So keeping this in mind, always we must think of an area in India which covers widely the alluvial soil, right? And that is the northern plains of India. That fulfills all these requirements, that is the temperature conditions and rainfall along with the alluvial soil. Clear? And moreover, when clay content is more in the soil, in the alluvial soil, that is much better for the rice cultivation, because it is a crop which needs for a long time during its growing period, it needs standing water. That means it needs water should remain there in the field. So for that purpose, if the clay content is not there, so the water won't remain there in the field for long. And this is the reason, because of the clay content which is more in the alluvial soil as we go towards the eastern side. You will find in Bihar, Jharkhand, then West Bengal, even a part of Assam, these are the areas where you will find the alluvial soil which is present. It has got more clay content, right? And this is the basic reason why, keeping all the other conditions, temperature and rainfall, this is one of the reasons why in these areas the rice cultivation or jute cultivation, which need actually the water for a long time in the field, such crops can be grown well in these areas. So this is the basic requirement, that is, you can say temperature, rainfall and soil. Keeping this in mind, if we say that the northern plains of India altogether, that is important for rice cultivation, it is always correct. And moreover, if we say the state-wise production, right, leading states regarding the rice cultivation or the production of rice altogether, we can say West Bengal is number 1. Okay, it is leading in the production of rice. Number 2 is Uttar Pradesh, number 3 Punjab, and then the other states of the northern plains, and along the eastern coast also you will find Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Telangana, Andhra, these even Tamil Nadu, these are the states which grow large amount of rice. Okay, now the next thing we need to discuss here is about the two type of rice which is generally known as upland rice and lowland rice. Okay, this is actually, it's very clear if you have understood by the upland means related to any highlands, right, and lowland means any low-lying area or the plain area. Yes, it's correct. So accordingly, the upland rice is grown mostly in the mountainous regions. Okay, but on the other side you will find the lowland rice is grown on the low-lying areas, or you can say the plains. Then number 2, second point is regarding the upland rices. These are cultivated, actually these are sown in the month of April almost, and harvested during September or in the beginning of October. That is the season for upland rice, which is grown on mountainous regions, right, or the slopes of mountains. Clear? And the other one, the lowland rice, is actually sown in the May end, right, or you can say June, and it is harvested in October. Okay, so this is the difference between the upland and lowland rice. Next difference is there, that is when we talk about the mountainous areas. Okay, on the slopes of the mountains, mostly you won't find any other means of irrigation is made possible, right? It is, if it is there, it is very rarely you'll find it becomes possible over the slopes of mountains. And this is the reason mainly this type of rice, that is upland rice, is dependent on rainfall. And as compared to this, if you come towards the other side, that is lowland rice, because this cultivation, the cultivation of lowland rice is done in the plain areas, so there you can say the dependence of this rice cultivation is also on the irrigation facilities. That means it is also getting rainfall, but whenever rainfall is not there and it needs more water, because throughout the growing season of rice, it needs more and more water. So to fulfill that requirement, we are having sufficient amount of, you can say sufficient irrigation facilities are there to provide plenty of water, right? So this is the third point. Now come to the last point, that is in the case of mountainous regions, right, the upland rice, you will find because the production is not much, so it is used mostly by the local people. Okay, it is meant for local consumption. But as we come towards the other side, that is lowland rice, this is a type of rice which is, because it is produced in the plain area, right, comparatively the production is more than the upland rice. So the result is, in this case you will find to some extent whatever amount of rice is required for their own consumption, it is consumed by the local people. Okay, but if any extra is left with them, that is actually sold out in the market, or it is supplied to the other regions. So I hope this is very clear to you, upland rice and the lowland rice. Then besides this, one more thing I want to discuss here, that is the two methods of cultivation of rice. Now what are these? The first method is called as generally dry method of cultivation. Okay, And the second method, that is the other method, is called as wet method, or we also many times call it as puddled method, right? Now what is the basic difference between the two methods of cultivation of rice? The dry method of cultivation, again, that is related with the cultivation which is to a large scale dependent on the rainfall. Okay, in the areas where the irrigation facilities are not much developed, there the dry method of cultivation is practiced. That means it is totally dependent on the rainfall. But when we come to the other side, that is the wet method of cultivation. Wet method of cultivation of rice is that in which you will find whatever amount of rainfall is received, besides that irrigation facility is provided. That means throughout sufficient amount of water is there for growing rice. Okay, so that is called wet method. Throughout water is there in the field, and it is also called by another name, that is puddled method. Now come to another thing, that is according to the method what we use for sowing rice, okay, in the field, we call it by the actually different methods are used. Now let's talk about the next very important part of it, that is the methods of cultivation, and especially method of sowing the rice. For that there are different methods which we have to discuss here, which are mostly practiced in India, right? Number one is broadcasting method, number two is drilling method, number three dibbling method, number four is transplantation method, and number five is Japanese method. So let's talk about each one of these. Number one, first of all, broadcasting method. Broadcasting method is the first method, and it is one of the oldest methods which is practiced in India, and it is most commonly used by the people. And moreover, you will find in this, just the seeds are taken in hands and these are spread over, right? You can see in the picture here, these are just scattered over the, right? Many times it goes below the soil, many times it remains over the soil also. And in this you can see this method is the cheapest method of sowing rice. It takes very less time and it needs very less number of manual labor. That means very less number of people can manage with this. But yes, children, you should understand one thing. It gives less production, right? Total yield gets affected by this, because one big reason is that in this method, somewhere at places you will find, at one place, suppose so many seeds have come together, these are collectively found at one place. The other place you will find just one or two seeds are there, or many places are just lying without any seeds. So this is the thing which affects the total production. That means unequal distribution is there. Moreover, many times the seeds remain on the soil. So these are a few things which actually gives comparatively, if you see in this method, the total production is less. Now come to the next method. Next method which is used here in India especially is drilling, right? Now it is actually drilling the seeds in lines, is practiced widely and specifically under dry land areas. And how it is done? Seeds are sown in furrows. First the furrows are made, okay, and in that the seeds are dropped. Now this actually, with the help of drills, the seeds are dropped in that over the furrows, and with a proper distance it is done, right? Now in this, weeds can be controlled by economically by intercultivation in line sown crops. Now the weeds can be controlled in this method. Number two is that it facilitates uniform depth of sowing, resulting into a uniform germination and the crop stand. So it is a better method than the broadcasting. No doubt it is a better method. It is done in especially the areas where poor farmers are there, especially there they do this type of thing. That is the third picture you can see in this method also. The people do it, or with the help of tractors and all, they do the drilling, right? So this is the second method. Now the third method which is commonly used is dibbling. It has come from the word dibble, right? You can see in the second picture here, this is a dibble, right? and with the help of this, the holes are made, or the pits are made at almost equal depth. So it is dibbling is what? It is placing of seeds in holes or pits, right? You can see here at equal predetermined distances and depths, and this is done with the help of dibble, mostly by hand it's done, right? You can see here in the first picture which is given here, several pits are made, small holes are made, and in this the seeds are dropped then manually. So this is called dibbling method. So this is another method which comparatively it gives a better yield, no doubt, again, because as compared to broadcasting and even by drilling, this is a much better option. But yes, it needs more number of labor. Okay, you can see here the features of it. It requires less seed, right? Because the wastage is not there now. As compared to the broadcasting method, the wastage of seed is not there in this case. So it requires less seeds. Then next is rapid and uniform germination is there in this. Okay, uniform germination, because almost at the same depth it is there. So it is uniform germination is there, but it is time consuming. This you should keep in mind. This is a disadvantage of it, right? It is more time consuming, and moreover more labor is required for this, right? So ultimately it needs more cost. Now let's move to the next method. Next method which is used mostly in India, that is transplantation method. Now in transplantation method, it is actually very common in the regions like deltas and floodplains of India, right? These are the areas where this method is most common. And when you will find this in this method, first of all, the nurseries are maintained. Okay, the seeds, first of all, the seeds are dropped in a nursery, and there the seedlings grow up, suppose, to almost 20 inches or 20 centimeters or so, and that is, the seeds are left there for almost 4 to 5 weeks, right? After that, when they reach to 20-25 centimeters or so, then these are taken out from there, and these are resown in a field where it is already prepared field, right? Field for rice cultivation, and there these are transplanted again. Okay, keeping in mind with a proper space should be left, right? Proper spacing is there, and moreover 3 to 4 seeds are planted at one place. Okay, so this is actually the resowing of the rice crop. Okay, so this is called transplantation, and in this method you will find this is actually a method which gives a better yield. Okay, as compared to the earlier 3 methods, it gives the maximum yield. Okay, and this is why it is most commonly used in large area where the rice cultivation is done. And some other advantages in this case, you will find that when we are taking out the crop, or the, you can say, seedling from the nurseries, right? So there we are able to pick only, we can choose, we can choose the seedlings from there according to the condition, right? We can say, suppose it is unhealthy seedling is there, right? So we always take out the healthy plants from there. Okay, only the healthy plants are taken out, and these are again resown in the field. We are able to choose that unhealthy plants are not going to be there with us for the plantation, or for the transplantation in the field. So only healthy plants are taken out. Number 2, we are again able to remove the weeds at that place only, right? When we are taking out these the seedlings from there, we remove the weeds. So when we remove the weeds there, so it is always only healthy plants coming to the actual rice field. So the wastage of seeds is very less, right? Moreover, the problem of weeds is a common one of the common problems, in the rice cultivation. So this is not okay. We have sorted it out in the beginning only, and it requires, but you will find it requires large number of labor also, because too many labors are required. People are required for doing the transplantation. Okay, so this is something, this is a method which needs more time also, right? But yes, no doubt, out of all these things, if we see the ultimate result, you will find a much better yield as a result of this. Okay, so this is a plus point of it. Then come to the one more method, that is nowadays it has become more popular in certain areas. Okay, this is called Japanese method, right? And it is, you can say, almost it's same as transplantation, but it is an improved form of transplantation method, right? An advanced form of transplantation. So in this, what is additional being done? It is, again, all the things are quite similar as that of transplantation. Okay, but in this, one thing is kept in mind, that is the seeds which are used, these seeds are HYV seeds, especially the seed named japonica. Okay, japonica, that seed is used in it. And because HYV seed is used, and moreover we are providing the fertilizers, manures, and whatever pesticides and all, whatever is required during that growing period of the rice, we use it a lot. That means manures, fertilizers, and all these are used on extensively on large scale. And moreover, along with this, the HYV seed is also there. So ultimately, yield becomes much better, quality wise as well as quantity wise. Both ways you will find the yield is much better by this method. Okay, so this is the fifth method of cultivation of rice in India. It is becoming popular these days. Now, the next thing regarding this is we have to talk about the next food crop, that is wheat. Okay, now when we talk about the wheat cultivation, wheat is another crop which is covering a large area in India, right? But yes, one thing you should keep in mind, that rice is a kharif crop, but wheat is a rabi crop. Being second most important food crop in the country, wheat cultivation covers almost more than 14 to 15% of the total cropped area in India, right? And moreover, wheat cultivation, if we see in the entire world, the total production of wheat is there in China. It's the leading country, number one, and India has got the second position in the world. Okay, and besides this, wheat is a winter crop, we all know it, and as in India it is grown in the northern plains, and that too in the northwestern parts of India. One big reason for that is also the winter rainfall which is received in the states of Punjab, Haryana, western UP, a part of Uttarakhand, Himachal. These states, when they get winter rainfall, during that season only the winter crop, that is the wheat, is cultivated, right? Or the rabi crop it is called. So when it gets the winter rainfall, its quality as well as quantity improves a lot. Okay, so this winter rainfall helps to a great extent in improving the quality of the wheat production, right? And this is one of the main reasons why the northwestern parts of India is taken for the wheat cultivation. Besides the soil type and the temperature and rainfall conditions, this is also one reason, that is the winter rainfall which is received. Okay, that means it is grown during the winters, right? And actually it's a temperate crop, better to call it a temperate crop, and it needs comparatively less temperature. Okay, this is the reason in southernmost part of India wheat is not grown. This is the reason, because it needs comparatively low temperature throughout, which can be seen only in the northern plains, because we are having a clear winter season in the northern plains of India or the northern parts of India. This is the reason wheat cultivation is not done at all in the southern parts, because the temperature is never seen so low in those areas, right? A big reason for that. Now, wheat is a rabi crop. Okay, So according to Rabi season, you can easily understand what is the average temperature conditions required for this. Moreover, rainfall required is comparatively less. So you can see here the conditions required for wheat cultivation. Temperature from you can say 10 to 20 or 25, right? At the most 25. That is the most ideal temperature condition required for this crop. Number 2, the rainfall should be between 50 to 100, 125 at the most, not more than that. Heavy rainfall is not ideal for wheat cultivation, right? So which area can be important for this climatic condition? Which area is suitable according to this for the wheat cultivation? That is the western side of the northern plains especially, right? And as you can see in the map which is provided here, the central India as well as the western side of the northwestern parts of India, this is mainly important for the wheat cultivation. And the soil required for this is mostly the loamy soil, alluvial loamy soil. Okay, and the states you can see here, the leading states, you should remember the main states which are producing the wheat on large scale are Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana. You can see covering all the central and the northwestern part mainly, right? So Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana, then Madhya Pradesh, right? Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, Uttarakhand, Andhra, to some extent Bihar also, Gujarat, Maharashtra. These are the major wheat producing states. Now besides this, come to the next crop. Actually this time we have to cover, besides the rice and wheat, one more crop, that is pulses. Okay, now according to the conditions, right, according to the climatic conditions of India and the soil what we have in India, pulses are covering a large area in the Indian, you can say in our country. Maximum part of agricultural fields are used for the production of pulses. From north to south, right, from east to west, a major part is covered with this cultivation of pulses, right? Because a variety of pulses are grown in India, and especially it is one of the you can say very important crops, important food crops in India. In the entire world, India is the largest producer and even consumer of pulses, and it accounts for 1/5 of the total production of pulses in the world. It accounts for 1/5 of the total production. And moreover, one more important thing is there, that it is actually one of the important, especially in India, a large number of people are the vegetarian. They need protein requirement. Their protein requirement is fulfilled by the pulses, right? So keeping this in mind, if you see, pulses are again covering a major part of our normal meals in our country. So it fulfills the protein requirement for especially a large number of people who belong to the vegetarian group. So for them it is an important part of their meal. Now the temperature required for the pulses is 20 to 25 degrees centigrade. That is a major part of India almost has got this temperature. Then rainfall it needs is 50 to 75. That means heavy rainfall is again harmful for this, and dry light soil is the best for it. And this is the reason you will find from extreme northern side towards south and from east to west, maximum part you will find the pulses are grown. So leading states regarding the pulses production, you can see Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, then Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, Bihar, Jharkhand, Maharashtra, right, Andhra. These are the important states for the production of pulses. So that's all with this video, and we are going to meet again in the next video, in which I will tell you about the various cash crops which are grown in India, right? And before I leave, once again, I want to remind you, don't forget to share the link with your friends, okay? And subscribe the channel. Bye.